Hello guys, this is Prof from Forex Academy speaking. This is our last part of our analysis. In this video, I'm going to look at NASDAQ, I'm going to look at US30 and S&P 500 and then gold. Those are the things that I'm going to be looking at in this video. Just a reminder, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the red subscribe button, and make sure you turn on the notifications so that you don't miss any of the content that we'll be uploading here. So without wasting your time, let's get right into it. On daily time frame here on NASDAQ. So what am I expecting for this week? Let's just observe what has happened up to now. So I've marked this wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and we are in possibly wave 5. So if you check from this side here, this has been an important area of resistance before price traded through this area. It was an important area of resistance. This was a quick breakout, then the price to the downside. Then price came and traded through and retested that resistance area, which was now support at this point, which we are also witnessing here as price is finally supported that particular point. So you just need to keep that in mind as we also analyze this NASDAQ down to lower time frames. So this indicates that we are currently in wave number 5. Wave number 5 normally we would be expected to go up to 0.618 of the total move. Let's just check there. We would expect this wave to come to this area. So we would be expecting our retracement to happen around these order blocks that are given here, which is also a point where price found support on this trend line. So normally that's where we would expect our price to come. So I'm going to talk about the two possible scenarios, equal prominence that I'm seeing here on NASDAQ. So NASDAQ can from this point here just respect support and then come back to these areas before we can expect the move to go to continuously go down. That's the first point that I need to mention there. Then the other one is that it can continue to go down up to this area where we have indicated that's where our take profit will be expected for wave number 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to lower time frames to H4 specifically to just look at price action on these waves so that we see exactly where we might expect this price to go. Let's just drop down to H4 right now and see what I'm talking about. So if we are currently in wave number 5, so we're also expecting wave number 5. And mind you, these waves can actually have an ending pattern here, be it an ending diagonal or a triangle. There a wedge that we can take to the upside, which as long as that wedge is our 5 waves, will be tempted to then take that trade to the upside. So what do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and currently we are in 5. That's interesting. This is very interesting. If we just grab our trend line there, let's grab our trend line and put it on the downside. What do you see? What do you see? There it is. Let's make sure that this trend line is by the week. Right. There we go. Then on the other side, we're going to start our trend line from here up to there. So this supports the idea that price is gonna reverse from here, from this double bottom to the upside. So what normally happens with these shapes, especially if you're given a triangle like this, normally it gives a throw over here before it can buy the upside. So what I would advise you to do is to wait for them to take out liquidity here in form of a throw over. As they trade back into the shape, if they trade back into the shape, then we look for our entry within the shape that we can take to the upside. If you miss this entry inside here to the upside, then and preferably above this area of support that we have indicated. Remember, this is support. So above this area of support inside, you can look for entry there and join the buy to these areas. Initial take profit here, the second take profit there, and finally in these areas. We're going to do our measurements and see why we are saying that area is the last take profit that we want to expect. So expect this to happen, that we're going to get a reversal candlesticks here, and then we'll get our entry, confirm the entry inside, reduce the risk as we go to the upside. Then that's number one. We cannot also, because remember, if we go back to daily time frame, let's just go back to D1. I want to show you something on D1 there. So if we just go back on D1, what do we have? Move this. What do we have? We have this structure here that you're given here. Look, this is a point of market structure break. So market structure is actually broken here to the downside. And if you check from the upside again, you're going to see that this again was a point of market structure break, and these candles are simply balancing off the inefficiencies on this area here with this other candle and this candle meeting there. So actually what we can, another possibility here is that this candle that you see here can violate this low that was given here, then it closes below this low. If this candle closes below this low, then the idea of us buying this then deteriorates. What we then expect is for price to then retest this support, which will then be resistance. If it then retests this resistance, whereas it is retracing to retest that, we then look for order block on this support on lower time frames to then continue taking the trade to the downside. Where will you take profit if you're going to take it to the downside? The first to take profit, and probably the last to take profit anyway, will be on these order blocks. You just need to trade it with these order blocks. Then you sell it like that. But as long as this is going to close above this support area, please don't sell it from there. Expect a buy to go on the upside. That's it on NASDAQ. Let's look at US30 and see what we have on US30 for this week. Okay, so I'm on the US30 here on daily time frame. What do we have? We have the same price action that we also had on NASDAQ. So this is the price action that we had on NASDAQ. Just this area alone. That's what we had on NASDAQ, where this wave had taken out this market structure breakpoint, then coming back to retest that and start selling to the downside. So what am I expecting here on US30? I'm expecting this I'm expecting to be selling this US30 for this week. But how and where can I expect my sales? So for here, the price area is not as clear, because from this point here, if you check, let's just use the body of these candles. If you check from this point here up to the point where I've indicated here, you're going to see that this is a dynamic support zone. The price has been retesting this and being sent to the upside. So right now, if you check the best trade or the safe trade, the first one was here when price failed to sustain going to the upside, then it dropped this structure here, which was also a point of resistance that had been broken to the support, but then failed to support the price, broken to the downside, came back to retest, then to the downside again. This is another area where price was supposed to find support in this order block here, but it didn't. It was traded through, then market structure was broken, came back to retest the point of market structure break order blocks, then price was sent to the downside, and the trade keeps on going on and on. So for now, what I would want to see is I would want to see price committing to the downside first. I want to see this price committing to the downside, because now if you relate this, if they are moving together in the same way, and then you relate this to what you have been seeing on NASDAQ, you can just experience either a sideways movement correction, as NASDAQ will be just buying a little bit to interest, or you can actually you can actually experience a situation where they will just come back to retest this order block here and continue to sell just like that. Let's just check the relationship between this swing point and the retracement, because I'm seeing the possibility of this being wave number 1 and this being wave number 2 there. Before we go to H4, let's just check what's happening here and decide accordingly. So oh yes, so this can actually be a wave number 2, and we are currently in wave number 3. So let's drop down to H4 for clarity and see how and see if we can get additional information that can help us take this trend. So as you can see here, indeed, this is wave number 1 and this is wave number 2. So the situation that I now have there is this being wave number 1, this being wave number 2, and now being currently in wave number 3. Alright. So actually this price can continue to this bottom and retrace a little bit. Let's just check if those measurements are permitting our so let's just check that hypothetical view and see if it's being confirmed by our Fibonacci there. So yes, so we can actually have price coming down to check out this low before we can experience that retracement that we're talking about. So we need to watch this closely, because they are a little bit conflicting with the other one that is NASDAQ today. Because for NASDAQ, you've been seeing that the same price action we have for NASDAQ is the same price action that we have on this one. It's only that this one is more clear, and it's showing us that this is wave number 1 and this is possible wave number 2, which has retested this market structure breakpoint, as you can see there. So let's wait and see what's going to happen as price approaches to the bottom side of this, because we can have this price approaching the bottom side, then it retraces again as NASDAQ will also be retracing. So let's just wait and see how price retraces, how price behaves in this area. Why? Because our area of support and resistance zone is a bit wide from this point here up to the point of indication that I've indicated there. So just taking trades in this dynamic area of support and resistance can be a little bit tricky and might cost us in terms of losses there. So let's be patient with this one. I would rather wait for this to break this every test for me to really be sure that it is actually broken structure to the downside, and we won't have any possible retracement anytime soon. Even if on daily time frame they commit to close below these many weeks that will be given here, because these weeks are indicating that even this point is very important when it comes to support and resistance. Even this point is very important when it comes to support and resistance. So is this point. So they are ultimately respecting this order block that you see from the other side, this body of this candle that you see from this other side, which we say from this body to the low, all this area is an area of dynamic support and resistance that we are witnessing there. So you need to be careful with this one. You don't want to rush it because it might crash you. Let's move on to S&P 500 and see how it's performing and what to expect for this week. Okay, I'm now on S&P 500 daily time frame. So if you're not careful, you might think that we're still on the same chart here. Why? Because the daily time frame price action I'm being given is almost the same anyway. So if you check again, this is the same thing that we have on NASDAQ and the same thing that we have on US30. So again, I want to take my time to explain this because I've been explaining it in the previous indices. So if you check this point here, this point has been a key area of support for price, which has been broken, and now they are retesting that area of support. And if you check now, impulse retracement, and then now we are in a possible third wave on daily time frame there. So I'm expecting price to continue moving to the downside at least. The first point, if this is an ABC retracement, then the first point I would expect this is a situation where it's a one-to-one situation where the first wave is equal to the second wave at least. So I would be expecting it to come down to these areas. That is if this is a pure ABC correction and I don't have 5 waves going to the downside. We'll always be assessing this as time goes. So you might need to join those free Telegram channels that I told you about in the other video. So join those, they are for free. Let's drop down to H4 and see how this has been performing here. So as you can see, just like the previous video here, where the point of market start to break there, that has been retested there. But again, we wait to see because let's just take a little bit. I think well, it's not clear. It's not as clear there. So we would want again to wait and see what happens at the double bottom there. But I think that this is going to retrace to these areas before we can then safely start taking that short position. It is possible again, if you check from this side, you can see that we have been having this trend line going to the upside. It's possible that price can just correct all the way to the upside. They're making this an A, B, then another C to that point. It's a possibility of correcting this first wave. So you don't want to rule out that possibility that from this bottom here, we might have price coming back way to all the way, a situation where we have a one-to-one, all the way back to the trend line there, a situation where we have a one-to-one there, coming back to that side to just correct this to probably maybe 78% retracement there. So you also need to be careful about that. But if it's going to happen like that, then how do we take this trade then? If you miss it on the bottom, then you can wait for them to break this resistance line here and retest. As they retest this resistance line, you want to look for an order block that will get to left here to then take your trade to the upside. That is if they are going to break this anyway. So how should you wait or take this trade? I would advise you to wait for them. If they are going to continue selling, and this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going to the downside, just like this, and it's a zigzag, then wait for them to break below this area here that I've been indicating here as your support area for price. If they break below and they are retesting this support, it's highly probable that they're going to continue. So you then take your trade within this support area, expecting price to go to the downside. But if they respect this support area the way they did here, then we would want to wait for them to commit to the upside. We don't want them to correct here to gain more orders to continue to the downside. So what you would want them to do is to wait for market structure break, and the break of that trend line as they break market structure. Then when they retest market structure, you join them up to the upside. You would want to be as flexible as you can. Anyway, we'll be updating this as we go again. So let's finally look at gold. Then we call it a week. So finally, I'm on the money. I'm on gold now. What to expect on gold this week? Well, as you can see there, last week when we were talking about gold, it was somewhere around here. And what I was expecting is for gold to respect this market structure breakpoint and continue to sell to the downside, at least to this trend line. But now what happened is they just retested this market structure breakpoint to gain more orders rather to continue going to the upside. And this is what has been happening. If you check, there's a trend line there where they've broken and retested that trend line to keep on going up. But I don't think this is enough of a test. I think they're supposed to come back again to retest this trend line in this area of support and resistance that has been broken. So what I'm expecting is from where they are, yes, they might get power to just tap the rejection block. Well, they have actually tapped that rejection block today. So what I'm expecting is from that rejection block that has been tapped there, I'm expecting price to sell back to either let's say back to this order block here, or which is at the support and resistance area. So I'm expecting them to come back to this region before they can continue to buy, if the fundamentals are going to permit them to continue buying. But if the fundamentals change, you know what's happening with these wars that are happening. So if the fundamentals change, then we would expect gold to stabilize and start to continue going down. So for now, that's what I have on gold. Just that should sell to this point. Then expect gold to continue buying. Check out that previous high that should be in there. That's it for me.